Hello, everyone. This is Chala Dinkoy, CEO and founder of the Repositioning Experts, coming to you live with another Tuesday tea time with Chala, drinking my trusty old protein. It is way past tea time for me. It's like way late in the day. It's been a crazy day, and I'm just getting to this. But I want to talk to you about something that a lot of my clients are asking me, and they're asking me whether they should do it, how they should do it, why they should do it or shouldn't do it. And the truth is, cold calling is dead, according to a lot of studies that I looked up. And I know that it's dead, and I know that we're not using cold calling. But I looked at what other B2B service based businesses and buying studies have shown. So, a company by the name of Hubspot, who specializes in what they call inbound marketing, what they're saying is that less than a fifth of marketers think that cold calling is actually getting leads. So, in fact, more than half, I think it was 53% of all companies and company owners want more leads. That is their number one problem. And half of their dollars are spent in trying to get more leads. So, if cold calling, which is what a lot of founders and a lot of people my age used to know. In fact, I used to work with cold callers. I was a cold caller as a student. I sold cemetery property by phone. I was a telemarketer. So if anybody knows anything about cold calling, it's me. I am the living history of cold calling. So why doesn't it work, and what can we do instead? Let me take a sip, because it is Tuesday tea time. Okay. So the first thing is generational. By the end of 2025, 3 out of 4 of the workforce is going to be millennials. And, these guys are 30s, 40s, and they're going to be coming up. And right now, they're in buying positions, and they're going to be in more buying positions by 2025, which is just another 2 years, another year, really. And they don't prefer to use the phone as a communication tool in their actual life and in business. When you're selling B2B, you're actually selling to humans. Don't forget that humans actually represent businesses. So a study showed that 75% of this generation of the millennials, they have a smartphone, but only a quarter of them, only 3/4 of them make a call. A quarter of them never even use the phone to make a call. Is that insane or what? I mean, it's just a generational preference. Now, 90% of buyers in total never respond to a cold call. If you're spending so much time calling people and spending money on lists and figuring out what to say and scripts and hiring people to do that for you, imagine that 90% of that spend is going to the garbage. There are much better ways. So these are some of the reasons why cold calling is dead. Another one is the proliferation of spam. I just got a cold call, and on my I'm with a carrier that actually filters it out and saying, now it just recently has started by saying it's likely spam. That is like, how likely am I going to pick that up? It says, if it says likely spam, less than 2% of cold calls result in actual meetings. Why are you still doing them? Why? How is this working for you? The next is really privacy issues. People are very protective of their information, and they don't want their personal phone number in somebody's hands. I live in a country where we actually have a do not call list. Not that it actually works, because I'm on all the do not call lists, but I'm still getting spam and getting marked to likely spam. And I didn't know this. This is a research that I found. It's really fascinating that 10 to 15% of the population actually lives with the fear and anxiety around phone conversations. There's a name for it. It's called telephobia. It's crazy. I've never even heard of such a thing. So imagine, so that's like feeding into all the reasons why the generational, the privacy, the proliferation of spam is just too much noise, right? These cold calls are not working. And then Another one that I thought of is that most corporate buyers are not working in the offices. So I looked up some stats. Almost a third are still hybrid. In fact, today I was reading that companies like Amazon and Meta are trying really aggressively to bring the workforce back into the office, and they're not working. So people would in most cases opt for another job, then come back, being forced to come back into the office. Having said that, like that, it's a third are hybrid, but 12% are full time at home still and refuse to come back. So that's a big consideration. And I know that was a huge issue during COVID. People would ask me, Chala, everybody's at home. How do I call their office? And there were multiple other ways to reach them. So what do you do instead? Like, how do you reach them instead? Like the number one thing anybody ever asks me when I meet a prospect who's trying to get into corporate sales or get into corporate sales conversations and meetings, the thing that I ask is, are you having the bigger issue with trying to get new leads or like getting into meetings, or is it closing? And 90% of the time is that they can't get leads, which explains why half the population of marketers think it's the number one issue that they have is trying to get leads. So how are the companies that are succeeding? How am I getting leads? So some of the ways that the large companies are getting leads are social media. 66% get leads from only doing 6 hours a week on social media. But you have to really be strategic with how you use that time. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to get the ROI. So I think that's really huge. And of course, like I think 80% of companies are planning on increasing social media spend, continuing social media spend. What you do in the critical time has to do with the next point that I'm going to make, which is what do you do instead of cold calling is, well, you have to figure out your target a lot better than you used to when you were just given a list. But even if you are doing cold calling and you have a target, you stand a much better chance of being able to have some sticky messaging when you know who the target is that you're calling, what problem they suffer from, and who exactly to talk to in that company. So that's why I'm saying the number two way that I think you need to get clients or leads is through really honing in on the strategy of figuring out who is your target. And I like to base it on either industry or interest group. And then what is their pain? So figure out their pain topics and then have effective content, because effective content leads to 3 times the leads versus calling or outbound emailing. So if you have effective content, so content means anything that you write or produce around your target's pain that positions you as an expert and an advisor. What I'm doing right now is content, and I'm giving my target, who are, diverse small business owners of 1 to 5 million, whose CEOs are running the business. I'm telling them what to do around their marketing and lead generation, because that is the number one problem my prospect has. So that's why I'm saying, is cold calling dead? Yes, it is. What do you do instead? You do all these things that I'm telling you. So the first one we talked about was social media. The second one is trying to figure out your content strategy, which is your marketing strategy, which is really who are you going to target? What are you going to say about their pain that makes you look like you're an expert? Number 3 is engage with them in person where they are. And now that COVID is over, everybody's, all these events that I'm speaking at are breaking records in terms of attendance because people are out there. Business is back. Everybody's back into the engagement. There are a few instances where I still see hybrid participation. I'm actually speaking at one next week. And then, funny enough, the same day I'm traveling to speak in person to another event. So it truly is a hybrid world. And so engage with high level, decision makers and buyers where they are. And where are they? Well, if they're not in their office or their home, they have to be somewhere interacting with either their suppliers. They have to be somewhere interacting with their peers in their own industry. So look for them at conferences, look for them at trade shows, look for them in their association and organization meetings, their chapter meetings, their annual meetings. Look for them through referral partners who are using other vendors that you might know and want to partner with. So find leads through that in-person option. Okay. And then last that I wanted to share with you is the AI and automation. You can't get away from it. Artificial intelligence is here. It's here to stay. People are debating it to death about what its role is, how it can enhance your business in every industry. Any client that I have that talks about AI is carving a niche out of serving based on their knowledge of AI. So what does it mean for you and your business? Let me give you this crazy statistic. Leads convert 9 times higher, more likely to convert 9 times more when you follow up within 5 minutes of them inquiring online or seeing your content online. So if you're able to do that, now, how are you going to have a whole sales force, or even you who has a life and is working on multiple things as an entrepreneur, how are you going to be able to have that kind of responsiveness? Is through AI and automation. You're going to set up intelligent chatbots. You're going to set up AI, chat GPT, something to be able to respond within 5 minutes and to put them into a funnel of responses that will get them to at least more information, get them to warmed up for a conversation with you, get them to book a call with you, and so on. So if you're able to respond within 5 minutes, it is 9 times more likely that you're actually going to close that business. So what does that tell you? AI and automation is here to stay. You need to harness it, you need to understand it, and you need to implement it in your business. So these are some of the new ways that people are actually getting clients. How I'm getting clients, how my clients are getting clients. We're actually designing programs around these main pillars that I'm telling you. The first thing that we do with a client is figure out their strategy. A friend of mine is starting has just bought a franchise in a travel company. We just had a conversation about what her first steps are. And believe it or not, it's about figuring out her niche. Who is the target? What problem is she solving? How is she going to position herself differently than 1,000 different travel agents, and so on? And it is no different for anybody who's selling B2B services to corporations. You have to figure out what is the industry or interest group, what is the problem, the main most expensive problem you solve, and then how do you get in front of them through their LinkedIn groups, their social media, what content do you provide and create for them, and then what kind of in-person events can you intercept them at, and how could you invite them to your own events in person so that you have a rinse and repeat, do it over and over again marketing plan that's going to continually get you quality, high quality leads that's never going to leave your sales funnel empty. Okay. So cold calling is dead, but lead generation is multifaceted, and there are so many more sophisticated ways to get in front of your ideal clients. So I hope that was useful. I hope that was interesting and insightful and gave you a new way to look at how to do marketing. And you know what? If you love to cold call, be my guest. Just be ready that 90% of the time, it's not going to work. On that pessimistic note, I will close it and see you next week. Take care.